As is the custom of this congregation, today we begin worship by extinguishing a candle in honor of Liz Cormier, a member who died late last week. Before retirement, Liz was a medical social worker at Kaiser and had been a member of UUSF since the 1980s. She was committed to social justice issues and was active in UU United Nations work, UU-UNO, and instrumental in starting the Guardian group to support gay and lesbian refugees. Liz will be greatly missed. Her memorial service has been planned for December 4th at 2 p.m. Good morning, and welcome to everyone with us. Welcome to those joining us on Livestream and everybody here in the sanctuary. I'm Dennis Adams, a worship associate here at UUSF. I'm joined on the chancel today by our preacher today, the Reverend Joy Atkinson. Reverend Atkinson has served many congregations in her 41 years of ministry, among them serving the Unitarian Universalists of San Mateo, where she is the Minister Emerita. It's a joy to have her here with us this morning. And everyone who makes this service possible, from our musicians to our camera crew and tech support, those who prepared the building and decorated the chancel. If you are with us for the first time, I'd encourage you to download the order of service this morning so you can follow along. Those here in the sanctuary are asked to wear your masks for the entirety of the service. Our preacher and I will remove our masks for the sermon and reflection and have had an antigen test this morning. Still, we cannot guarantee anyone's safety, and so ask you to take what precautions make you feel safe. We will also ask folks here to hum the music until our last hymn, which we invite you to sing. And so, let's begin worship by lighting a candle, as we have each week since the stay-at-home order was put in place, in honor of all you bringing your spirit into this place from wherever this morning finds you. Our first hymn is number 38, Morning Has Broken. Those at home can sing along. Those here in the sanctuary can hum along.
Good morning. We rejoice today in the changing of the seasons as we kindle the flame of the chalice, symbol of our religious heritage. May this light be for us a beacon of hope through the darkest times of the year, and may it shine brightly with the power of love. I invite you to recite the words in the order of service. We light this chalice for the light of truth, the warmth of love, and the fire of commitment. We light this symbol of our faith as we gather together.
I'm lost. Oh, here we go. If this is your first time watching, thanks for joining us. You can follow along in the order of service, which is available in the description of this video and is emailed to everyone who receives our newsletter, which you can get by signing up through a link to our Connect-in form that is in the order of service and video description. The order of service also lists upcoming events and links to opportunities to connect, including our Zoom coffee hour, which takes place right after the service. When weather permits, those who are with us in person can join us in a real-life coffee hour in our courtyard. We just ask that you keep your mask on when you aren't sipping your beverage. Please note in the order of service chances to deepen your spiritual practices, engage in deeper study, and also put your values into practice through a variety of opportunities here at UUSF. We wanted to let you know that last week and this week's offering was taken for the Black Women's Health Imperative, the oldest organization dedicated to protect the health and wellness of Black women and girls. Last week, we raised $750 in donations. Thank you in advance for your generosity. We hope to stay connected with any advocacy opportunities to support that organization's mission, which aligns with our own concerns about equity and wholeness. Please note the upcoming deadline and opportunity to submit to the annual group art show that is hosted by our art committee. There's an online link for submission. Consider sharing a scanned image of a drawing or painting of yours, a photograph, and take advantage of the chance to share your creative work with the rest of the community. That's all for our special invitations today. And now it is time for our meditation on breathing. The words are in your order of service. I invite you to hum along or sing if you're at home, or just listen and enter more deeply into the spirit of the hour.
When I breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I breathe out love. When I breathe in,
And now please join me in saying the words of our covenant printed in your order of service. Love is the spirit of this church, and service is its prayer. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to speak the truth in freedom, and to help one another. Recognizing there is human suffering all over the world in the course of natural and human catastrophes, we ring our gong today in honor of two such places of suffering and struggle. We ring our gong first, as we have since July of 2019, for those lives held and those lives lost in federal custody in our detention camps. For all people still held without charges in less than transparent or humane circumstances, and the ongoing disregard for human life at our borders that speaks again to the xenophobic racism and greed that threads throughout our nation's history. We ring the gong 7 times for this week of days, bearing witness to this moral failure. We ring our gong additionally once for the losses this week to COVID-19. 48,810 people died globally from COVID-19 this last week. 6,821 of those deaths were here in the United States. We hold in our hearts all those losses and those who work around the globe to stem these losses. And so may we keep those we have named in our thoughts and in our prayers, and may we ease the tide of human suffering this coming week, howsoever we can.
For this morning's time of meditation, I'd like to begin with a reading by Kabir, 15th century Hindu poet. And then we will spend some time in silent reflection. And when we come out of it, I'll read the words of David White. Kabir. We are all struggling. None of us has gone far. Let your arrogance go and look around inside. The blue sky opens out farther and farther. The daily sense of failure goes away. The damage I have done to myself fades. A million suns come forward with light when I sit firmly in that world. The universe is shot through in all parts by a single sort of love. Let us be together in community, in silence for a time. The words of David White. Enough. These few words are enough. If not these words, this breath. If not this breath, this sitting here. This opening to the life we have refused again and again, until now, until now.
Sometimes when I hear that choir sing, it's like 1,000 voices of angels. It's so beautiful. Thank you to the whole music committee for that. I cannot recall my age when I realized people were beacons of God's light. Pretty young, if memory serves me. I mean, they taught us in school that we operate on a kind of electrical system. Where that electricity came from, heart and brain, was a source of great mystery to me. My younger self devoured books voraciously, and in my general understanding of what makes most people tick, I came to the realization, too, that we are all interconnected in a mysterious, even magical way. In 1971, I ran away from home to New York City. I had a sort of built-in support system there from a cross-racial, cross-church Baptist camp I'd attended years previous. As such, I was taken in by a lovely church lady and her family and stayed with them in the Robert F. Wagner houses in East Harlem about a month. I used to sneak into Broadway plays during the intermission. It was relatively easy to just pick up a discarded ticket stub and mosey on in when they flickered the lights to get everyone's attention. It was there at an intermission of Hair that I recognized a former apprentice master from the Bull Barn Theater in Boalsburg, Pennsylvania, Jerry Bartell. He, in turn, introduced me to several members of Jesus Christ Superstar, and then I ended up staying with them a few months until my grocery store stock boy salary could afford me my own place. During this time, I fell head over heels with the New York theater scene, from Broadway on down in seating capacity to off-Broadway. I wound up seeing the show Jesus Christ Superstar a total of 29 times since they let me in free, and I got to know most of the cast fairly well. Once I knew the show, I came to love watching the interactions of the chorus and the business they would mime in large crowd scenes, as well as the sort of light they would emit individually and collectively, especially while singing. One afternoon, the two small priests, Michael Meadows and Alan Bronstein, ran up to me and excitedly asked me, hadn't I done some technical theater work in the past? Seems a cousin of a cast member who ran lights had inadvertently left the lighting up all night and burned out the system. They said if I could get it fixed by their midnight showing of The King's Crown, I'd have a job for the run of the show. My best friend from high school, Jason Armstrong, just happened to be visiting, and together we not only fixed the lighting board at the St. Clement's Church Theater, but with all the extra time before the showtime, we decided to overhaul the rather plain up and down lighting of the show and added all kinds of special effects, such as punching holes in Mountain Dew cans to create a forest effect on the floor. When the midnight show came about, I asked Alan if I could play around with the lighting during the show, and he said they'd love it. Well, I felt like a creature of light up there in that lighting booth as I manipulated the now repaired board's rheostats and dimmers, adding mood and I hoped depth to the show, an already lovable musical fairy tale. That Christmas of '71, I'll never forget. The casts of both Hair and Jesus Christ Superstar came marching together from their respective theaters, and we converged on Times Square singing both Christmas carols and anti-war songs about Vietnam. There I discovered that the rays of light which emanate from people seem more sharply defined, shinier, brighter, when a sincere social cause is involved. I'd learned the essence of this in liberal religious youth groups and in my own Baptist church. In that Times Square moment, my worlds blended: theater, social change, and exploring our interconnectedness under the lights of Broadway. And now the offering for the works and ministries of the Black Women's Health Imperative will be given and gratefully received. Those here in the sanctuary can give in the baskets at the back of the sanctuary as you leave today or online. Those at home can give through our online donation portal or send checks. Thank you for your generosity.
Rise up, O flame, by thy light glowing, show to us beauty, vision, and joy.
Choir sounds just as sweet from down below as if it were right here in the room. I would like to offer you for this morning's reading these words of my late colleague, Clark Dewey Wells. Several years ago, and shortly after twilight, our 3.5-year-old tried to gain his parents' attention to a shining star. The parents were busy with time and schedules, the irritabilities of the day, and other worthy preoccupations. Yes, yes, we see the star. Now I'm busy, don't bother me. On hearing this, the young one launched through the porch door, fixed us with a fiery gaze, and said, "You be glad at that star." I will not forget the incident or his perfect words. It was one of those rare moments when you get everything you need for the good of your soul: reprimand, disclosure, and blessing. There is a notion with some truth in it that we cannot command joy, happiness, appreciation, fulfillment. We do not engineer the seasons of the soul or enjoin the quality of mood in another. And yet, I do believe there is right and wisdom in that imperative declaration: you be glad at that star. If we cannot impel ourselves into a stellar gladness, we can at least clean the dust from the lens of our perception. If we cannot dictate our own fulfillment, we can at least steer in the right direction. If we cannot exact a guarantee for a more appreciative awareness of our world, for persons and stars and breathing and tastes and the incalculable gift of every day, we can at least prescribe some of the conditions through which an increased awareness is more likely to open up the skies for us and for our children. It is not always the great evils that obstruct and waylay our joy. It is our unnecessary and undignified surrender to the petty enemies. And I suggest it is our duty to scheme against them and make them subservient to human decree. Time and schedules, our irritabilities of the day, and other worthy preoccupations. Matters more subtle and humane should command our lives. You be glad at that star.
On this shining night of starry shadows.
Very beautiful. Thank you. I'm sure you've seen the lights going up already in this beginning of the holiday season. Lights, they're everywhere at this time of year. The flicker of menorah candles, the blinking of ropes of colorful Christmas lights, the glow of Christmas candles and illuminated angels and Santas, the 7 candles of the African-American Kwansa celebration, Yule logs blazing in fireplaces, solstice celebrations with candles. Many cultures in the Northern Hemisphere, past and present, have held their light-filled celebrations at this darkest time of the year, approaching the winter solstice. Today, as our days grow darker, I would like to talk about light. Not physical light, but light as a metaphor of the spiritual dimension of life. Light as a symbol of the awakening or reawakening of a sense of wonder and hope, which can come to us even in the midst of darkness and pain. The novelist John Cheever once defined religion as the pursuit of radiance. This definition appeals to me. Religion, as I see it, is not a set of creeds or dogmas. It is not the saying of prescribed prayers or the following of a particular ritual or tradition. These may be the means to a religious life, an awakened life, but they are not the religious light itself. For me, the word radiance captures an elusive quality of life that I believe people seek, knowingly or not, and that some of the great religious leaders of history have found and tried to teach about. Radiance. A person who is spiritually awake can see and feel the radiance of things, how each part of the universe is connected with the whole, how our lives are deeply interwoven with the lives of other beings, how love and passion and emotional experience infuse life with a sense of meaning and purpose, how art and poetry and music capture a piece of this radiance and present it to our hungry senses, how our actions help improve the world and bring us out of our small selves and connect us with the lives and the well-being of others. I would venture to say that we've all at least had glimpses of this radiance. Metaphorically speaking, most of us live much of our lives in a kind of darkness, perhaps doing and accomplishing much, but not really being aware and present to ourselves and the world, not seeing the miraculous, which is right there in the commonplace stuff of our lives. Occasionally, though, the light breaks through the darkness. Sylvia Plath, a poet whose personal life certainly was one of struggle and pain, was still able to perceive the radiance at times, as this poem of hers suggests. It's titled Black Rook in Rainy Weather, and my version here is slightly excerpted. On the stiff twig up there hunches a wet black rook, arranging and rearranging its feathers in the rain. I do not expect miracle or an accident to set the sight on fire in my eye, nor seek any more in the desultory weather some design. Although I admit I desire occasionally some backtalk from the mute sky, I cannot honestly complain. A certain minor light may still leap incandescent out of kitchen table or chair, as if a celestial burning took possession of the most obtuse objects now and then, thus hallowing an interval otherwise inconsequent. By bestowing largesse, honor, one might say love. At any rate, I now walk wary, for it could happen even in this dull, ruinous landscape, skeptical, yet polite, ignorant of whatever angel may choose to flare suddenly at my elbow. I only know that a rook, ordering its black feathers, can so shine as to seize my senses, haul my eyelids up. Miracles occur, if you care to call these spasmodic tricks of radiance miracles. The wait's begun again, the long wait for the angel, for that rare, random descent. Sylvia Plath here uses poignant imagery of light and vision, the celestial burning that can make something as ordinary as a kitchen table glow with radiance. The angel that flares suddenly at my elbow. The shining bird feathers that can haul my eyelids up. These tricks of radiance that come at random. Perhaps this sudden flaring of an angel has happened to you, awakening you to the miracle and mystery of being. Perhaps it was like this. On a clear winter night, you are out walking alone, turning over in your mind all the things you have to do, all the deadlines that await you. And then you happen to look up, and there's Orion in the sky, that great constellation you have known since childhood, with the 3 bright stars in his belt shimmering. And you feel momentarily transported out of yourself and your mundane concerns, and lifted up to a sense of being one with something larger. This is radiance. Or maybe something has gone wrong in your life. Someone has hurt you, or money troubles are upsetting you, or someone you love or yourself are seriously ill. And you've got what a therapist I know calls a case of the 3 a.m.s. You toss and turn at night, you fret and worry by day, and your life feels like a giant bleeding wound. But oddly, every now and then, maybe only once or twice while you're in this tunnel of despair, you feel a lightness, a surprising buoyancy, even a bit of joy. And you know that you have a core of strength within you, and maybe a source of strength outside of you. Call it God, or the Tao, or the ground of being, or the great mystery And this strength is something that you know you can fall back on. Something says to you, you will get through this. This is radiance. Perhaps you've just read the newspaper and you are brooding about the sorry state of the world. Things look bleak. People are suffering. Children are hungry. Young black men sometimes die in violence, sometimes even at the hands of police. You see selfishness and cynicism all about, and the values you cherish are being ignored, threatened. And the pandemic goes on and goes on and goes on. And it all just gets you down. While you're ruminating about all of this, an angel flares at your elbow in the form of a child coming near to hug you or to ask you for help. Or the angel is your spouse or partner or friend speaking kindly to you. Or you just suddenly think of someone you care about, and you are transformed, transported on a beam of love out of your dark gloom. This is radiance. The experience of radiance obviously does not make the pain of the world or the pain of your life go away. It is still there, but you are somehow stronger to cope. And you may also feel inspired to try to help in some way. The experience of radiance can chase away the demon of cynicism. It can help us to choose to light a candle rather than just curse the darkness. And the action you take out of this transcendent feeling, this act of love, is itself radiance. It is as if the universe is infused with this radiance, which flares into our awareness now and then. Some have personified it and called it God. Others love, or the goddess, or the web of existence. Some give it an impersonal name, the ultimate, the ground of being, the Tao. Some don't name it at all. Skeptics may deny it, and yet I believe that they are nourished by it also. To me, it seems that the poets, more than the philosophers and theologians, can convey something of the essence of this light, this experience of radiance, as in this poem by Richard Eberhard, also slightly excerpted. The incomparable light. The light beyond compare is the light I saw. I saw it on the mountaintops, the light beyond compare. I saw it in childhood too. I glimpsed it in the turbulence of growing. I saw it in political action. Elusive element, final mystery. The light beyond compare has been my visitant. Some sort of angel sometimes at my shoulder, a beckoning guide, elusive nevertheless. Under the mind where currents of being are running, it is this strange light I come back to, agent of truth, protean, a radical of time. The light beyond compare is my meaning. It is the secret source of my beginning, issuance of uniqueness, signal upon suffering. It is the subtle flash that tells our song, inescapable humanhood of the living, our mystery of time, the only hopeful light. John Cheever spoke about the pursuit of radiance, the pursuit of radiance. So how can we pursue, or at least open ourselves up to, this kind of enriching and sustaining experience? How can we learn to see or feel the radiance of the universe, the light beyond compare? It would seem as if it only comes unbidden, like a gift. And it does come this way, flaring like an angel, sometimes when we least expect it. But I believe this kind of seeing is also something we can try to make ourselves more open to. As the writer Annie Dillard says, I cannot cause light. The most I can do is try to put myself in the path of its beam. There are many ways that people have tried to put themselves in the path of this light of insight and awareness. You can follow any number of spiritual disciplines: yoga, prayer, ritual, some form of meditation, journal writing, creating or appreciating art, walking in nature, or some other physical activity. For myself, I find that a brief daily period of quiet meditation helps me to be more receptive to the tricks of radiance that may come my way. I sometimes use a favorite line of poetry as a kind of centering chant. I have also found the writings and meditative exercises of the Vietnam Zen teacher Thich Nhat Hanh to be helpful, especially his book, The Blooming of a Lotus, which offers simple breathing and meditation exercises, including particularly helpful ones for dealing with the agitation, anger, and sense of separation we all sometimes feel. There are many such tools available for the spiritual quest, for pursuing radiance. Actually, no books or tools or specific exercises are even needed. Just sitting in silence for a few minutes may be of help. As Thich Nhat Hanh puts it, quoting an ancient Buddhist scripture, you only need to sit and be present to the moment, not waiting for a miracle, just being. A simple practice, yet few of us give ourselves this gift on any regular basis. We seem to think we're just too busy. Well, the holidays are here, and even in the pandemic, stores are crowded and the traffic is thick, and we are terribly busy. Yet maybe we can give ourselves one simple gift this holiday season: the gift of quietude and a bit of unscheduled time, so that we may have eyes to see the celestial burning, the flaring of angels, the glowing radiance of all that is. I close with the words of an Inuit Indian song. As I thought over again my small adventures, as with a shore wind I drifted out in my kayak, I thought I was in danger. My fears, those small ones that I thought so big for all the vital things I had to get and to reach. And yet there is only one great thing, the only thing: to live to see in huts and on journeys the great day that dawns and the light that fills the world. I'd like to now invite you to join in singing, and I'm told it's okay to do this today through your masks, to sing, please, hymn number 86, Blessed Spirit of My Life. Please rise in body or spirit and join us. I offer you these words of benediction from a Chinook song. Blessing of galaxies, blessing of stars, great stars, small stars, red stars, blue ones. Blessing of nebula, blessing of supernova, planets, satellites, asteroids, comets. Blessing of our sun and moon, blessing of our earth. Bless the wisdom of the Holy One above us. Bless the truth of the Holy One beneath us. Bless the love of the Holy One within us. Go in peace.